We can learn a lot about ourselves and the state of the world through our Google searches. What we ask the internet is not only a reflection of what we want to know, but also what we desire and fear. In 2023, people searched for everything from deep questions like, what's the meaning of life, which I answered already in this video, to not so deep questions like, can I feed this to my dog? In this video, I'll answer all of Google's most searched questions of 2023. The year hasn't been easy, like most years, and as a result, many people took to Google to figure out how to remove the metaphorical fruit flies hovering around their lives like a cloud. They also searched for how to get rid of fruit flies and gnats. For the latter, try setting up a jar and filling it with red wine vinegar. Add a drop of soap and cover the container with plastic wrap and an elastic band. Use a sharp pencil to poke holes in the wrap and watch your fruit fly prison fill with inmates. For the former, understand that life can be tough sometimes, but it does improve. But even if it doesn't get better, what's the point in worrying about tomorrow today? With the emergence of AI, technology has moved faster this year than in recent years. While this is good, it's also caused a huge tech overload for many people, spawning questions like, how do I delete this app? Touch and hold the app you want to delete for a few seconds, and a menu should pop up. Click on Delete App if you're on an iPhone, and uninstall if you're on an Android. How do I delete my Facebook account? Click on your profile picture, then Settings and Privacy, and then just Settings. Go to Account Center at the top left of your screen, followed by Personal Details under Account Settings. Now go to Account Ownership and Control, then Deactivation or Deletion. Keep going, you're almost free. And then select Delete. Just a warning, once you delete your Facebook account, there are consequences. Your posts, photos, and videos will be gone forever, and you won't be able to reactivate your account. But maybe the greatest consequence of all is that you'll have a better chance at happiness. How to delete your Instagram account. It's pretty much the same as deleting your Facebook account. Now say goodbye to envy-inducing vacation photos. How to screenshot on a Mac. Press and hold 3 keys together, Shift, Command, and 3. They really need to give screenshots a permanent place on the keyboard. Who owns Google? Alphabet is Google's parent company. If you are hoping for another chaotic billionaire owner, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's probably for the best. When the world gets tough, many people turn to fantasies and spirituality to ground themselves. Are dragons real? Although dragons have origins in many ancient cultures across the globe, it's more likely that people living hundreds to thousands of years ago misinterpreted dinosaur fossils as dragons. Almost all of the features of a dragon, aside from breathing fire, can be found in dinosaurs or flying reptiles that existed over 65 million years ago. There are creatures today called dragons, such as the Komodo dragon, but nothing resembling how they've been described historically. Are unicorns real? Yes, although I do need to qualify that answer a lot. A prehistoric creature called the Siberian unicorn roughly resembled what we call a unicorn. It had a horn in the middle of its head and ran on 4 legs like a horse, but this animal was a lot hairier and had a build more similar to a bison. Technically, it's also an ancient species of rhino. Common depictions of unicorns were likely inspired by narwhal tusks that washed up on oceanside beaches. The Danish king Frederick III even had a throne made entirely of what he insisted were unicorn horns, but were narwhal tusks. What does 444 mean? Have you ever seen the same single-digit numbers repeated in sequence over and over again? Like when you happen to look at a clock at 11:11 on multiple days in a row? Some people think there's meaning in this repetition and refer to the phenomenon as angel numbers. This concept comes from numerology as well as from astrology and palm reading. The repeated numbers are intended to predict and guide your future. If you see 444, it means that a big change is inevitable and you shouldn't resist it. Believers of angel numbers insist you can use these signs at a crossroads when making a tough decision. But the real question is, what does the number 222 mean? This number is about relationships and your need to foster strong connections. The ultimate goal is harmony, and in relationships, that means getting on the same page. Can I go to heaven with tattoos? That depends on what and where heaven is to you, but more importantly than where heaven is, where am I? Many people searching this query are probably just physically lost, but some may be lost in life. Sometimes both. When reflecting on where you are in life, remember that any measure of this is just a social construct. Careers and goals are all transitory. Relationships are more important anyway. People in your life are probably not very invested in where you're at in your career or what status symbols you've accrued. They see your character, not a job, and they too are ultimately transitory, as are we from dust to dust. Hope that helped. Who am I? If you're asking this question, you probably feel like you don't know yourself well. Maybe you don't have a strong sense of identity, or maybe your identity has been entirely shaped by your parents, society, and pop culture. When making decisions, you lack firm conviction compared to others. It gives you a sense of inadequacy. It's like there's no authentic self telling you the best way forward. Instead of looking inward for a voice to tell you what to do, try looking outward. Maybe you need to explore the history of philosophy, religion, science, and the social sciences to see what aligns with your personal experiences of the world. If reading dense, ancient texts isn't your thing, watch YouTube videos on these subjects. Fill your mind, and your opinions and convictions will surely come. You'll have some values to work with that you are actively engaged in developing. Remember, our souls weren't imprinted with hot takes on AI or gender theory. There's no shame in lacking these internal values, but if it makes you feel inadequate, it's time to read and explore. What is RSV? Respiratory syncytial virus. It's a common respiratory virus that causes cold-like symptoms and occasionally severe complications for infants and older adults. It's become more common in the past 2 years, leading to an increase in hospitalization. What is MS? Multiple sclerosis. It's a disease in which your immune system attacks the myelin that covers your nerve fibers. It eventually causes damage or deterioration, resulting in communication issues between the brain and the rest of your body. In dire cases, it can leave you with mobility issues and cognitive problems. Are sinus infections contagious? The infection itself isn't contagious, but the cold or the flu that cause them are. You should check in on those symptoms to assess whether you're still contagious. Why were chainsaws invented? Fun fact, the first tool resembling a chainsaw was used in complicated childbirths instead of a knife or scalpel. I'll leave you with that gruesome image just for a moment. Does rice have gluten? No, which is why many gluten-free flours use rice as an ingredient. Does green tea have caffeine? It has less caffeine than black tea, but it still has some. Inclusivity starts with understanding, which is why questions like what does pansexual mean are amazing. In case you're wondering, it's where a person is sexually or romantically attracted to all sexes and genders. What does Let's Go Brandon mean? During an interview with NASCAR Sparks 300 winner Brandon Brown, the crowd chanted, "Fuck Joe Biden." The reporter Kelly Stavos misdescribed the chant as "Let's Go Brandon," which became a meme. What does woke mean? If you're Googling this, you're probably not woke, but I'll help. The term woke was originally used by the black community in the mid-1900s to refer to people who were informed and educated on social injustice and racial inequality. More recently, it was used during the Black Lives Matter movement in 2014 and eventually became a catch-all phrase for progressiveness. What is gaslighting? How do you not know what this means? Are you sure you've been online for the past 20 years? Honestly, I'm struggling to understand how you could live without knowing what this means. That is gaslighting. It's a form of abuse where someone causes another to question their perception of reality, making the person vulnerable, unsure of themselves, and even think that they're mentally ill in extreme cases. Sorry about that. What does Riz mean? It's what helps you get into a relationship. What are the 5 love languages? They're what helps keep you in a relationship. Acts of service, gifts, quality time, words of affirmation, and physical touch. However, the idea of having just 5 love languages isn't backed up with any credible evidence. In reality, most people want a combination of all 5 to feel fulfilled in a romantic relationship. When we weren't rizzing each other up and falling in love, we were unfortunately worrying about tragedy, and 2023 came with its fair share of tragedies. What happened to the Titanic sub? 105 minutes into their trip to visit the ruins of the Titanic shipwreck, the Titanic submersible went offline. Days later, it was confirmed that the submarine had suffered a catastrophic implosion, instantly killing all 5 people on board. OceanGate's submarine tour operation had previously been criticized for lacking necessary safety qualifications. Israel-Gaza war. After Hamas attacked Israeli citizens on October 7th, killing over 1,200 people, the government of Israel responded by bombarding Hamas militants and Palestinian civilians with missiles and on-ground fire from tanks and soldiers. Nearly 20,000 individuals in Gaza, mostly civilians, have been killed by Israeli operations since the latest conflict started. How many people died in the Turkey earthquake? A staggering 59,259 people died in the February 6th earthquake. How did Matthew Perry die? The actor died from taking a high dose of ketamine, rendering him unconscious in his pool, and he subsequently drowned as a result. Matthew Perry was undergoing ketamine infusion therapy, but the amount of ketamine in his body at the time of death was similar to general anesthesia during surgery. How much house can I afford? Less with every passing year. Alright, that's enough with tragedies. Here's one for trivia night. How many continents are there? Some say 7, others say 6, 5, 4, or even 2. Geographers typically go with 7, some suggesting that Europe and Asia should be one continent. If you're writing a test, please go with 7. Who is Taylor Swift dating? Taylor is currently dating Travis Kelce, a football player for the Kansas City Chiefs. She was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year for the unprecedented success of her Eras tour and her ability to impact a sports franchise simply by showing up to a game and cheering on her boyfriend's team. Who won the Ballon d'Or 2023? Lionel Messi won a record-extending 8th Golden Ball. He's the GOAT. Cue the Cristiano Ronaldo fans in the comments. Why is the Barbie movie so popular? Aside from the massive marketing campaign and the impact of nostalgia, Barbie did well by being far more relatable to adults than its source material. It's also funny, features a strong story and some pretty nice songs. In the same vein, why is Oppenheimer so popular? Well, it's a movie about making an atomic bomb. Go figure. Is One Piece worth watching? Yes, absolutely, just get ready to devote 359 hours to the story. That's about 3 hours a day for 3 straight months. How many children does Nick Cannon have? 12. How old are Jenna Ortega, Tom Cruise, Dolly Parton, and Hasbulla? 21, 61, 77, and 21, respectively. How old is Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend? Do you even have to ask? Less than 25 as always. How did Elvis die? Officially, Elvis died of a heart attack on August 16, 1977. Is Jamie Foxx sick? In April of 2023, Jamie Foxx was hospitalized with an undisclosed illness. Thankfully, he's recovering well and has even made a few public appearances. How did Jeffrey Dahmer die? He was violently assaulted by his fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver. He died of his injuries an hour after the incident. How to make French toast. Pour 1 cup of milk and 1 egg into a bowl, add a tablespoon of sugar, a few drops of vanilla, or as I prefer, almond extract. Add a teaspoon of cinnamon to the bowl, use an egg beater to mix it all together and set it aside. Adjust your stovetop element to medium and heat a tablespoon of butter in the pan. Next, dip both sides of your bread into the mixture and place it in the pan. Cook for about 3 minutes aside. Repeat with more slices of bread until your mixture is used up, and make sure to keep your pan buttery. How to have the best 2024. Watch this video on atomic habits to see how you can change your life by making tiny changes that lead to big results.